Good morning, everyone. I am Penny Bongato, and I am here today with Marco Aguilar. Marco is a friend of mine from the Breakthrough to Success of Jack Canfield, and we've been friends since 2014. We've kept in touch all these years, and he is one of the best guys I know. Very helpful, very, very generous as well for his time and his ability to link up with others. Marco, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Ben. It's a pleasure to say hi to you and to your friends, to your audience. And I am here at home in Mexico City, um, big Mexico City, and logged in like everybody else around the world. And if you're not logged in, you should be logged in at home. And yeah, like you said, we met back in 2014 when we attended Breakthrough to Success, one of Jack Canfield's signature courses. It's a live program in Phoenix, Arizona, in Scottsdale, Arizona. And that's where we met. And then we both went on the same route, becoming certified Canfield trainers, certified on the success principles. And it's been a fun journey ever since. Uh, I became a professional speaker, which was one of my dreams and goals. And I just love to help and inspire others to reach their dreams and their goals and to really bring out their full potential and the best in them.
Mhm. Oh, Marco, one of the things that we did, you came to the Philippines. Tell me about your experience coming to the Philippines.
Okay, we have a couple of days because it was amazing. And I remember every minute, and it's one of the best trips I've ever made. It was really, really cool. And thank you again for inviting us and for bringing us to the Philippines to inspire others. And it's interesting because just this week, uh, there is a closed private Facebook group for uh, Canfield trainers. And this past week, one of the ladies who attended our workshops in Manila, uh, she was so inspired by our presentation that
Mm-hmm.
she decided to get certified herself. And this past week, she finally did it. And so it is so moving that we actually inspire others and others take actions, and that's a key word, action, that I would like to talk about a little bit later. But I was so happy, so fulfilled, and so honored that Carmine graduated from Train the Trainer, and she's one of us now. She's part of the family.
Yes.
She's a certified Canfield trainer.
Yes, and I remember Marco, even though your host in the Philippines, were not able to go with you, you went to Tagaytay and you went to
Mhm.
Bohol.
I went to Bohol. I went to the Chocolate Hills,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which was really, really interesting. I loved Bohol. I loved the beach. I loved, I did one morning, I got up early and I grabbed a bike from the hotel. They had these, free bikes. And I just went for a couple of hours on the island, and it was beautiful. Uh, People were waving at me. One of the things, I found that there's a lot of similarities between
Mm-hmm.
Filipinos and Mexicans. And I guess it has a lot to do with the fact that we were both Spanish colonies.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, the Spanish uh, discovered the Philippines, and they started that expedition from Mexico.
Oh.
And during the times of the Spanish colony in the Philippines, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the Philippines was governed not by a viceroy or a king. It was governed by a governor who was appointed by the Spanish king, Philip II. But the governor did not report directly to the king in Spain. The governor reported to the viceroy in Mexico City.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, just imagine. I mean, it would take like 3 months to
Oh, yeah.
sail from the port of Acapulco to the Philippines,
Mm-hmm.
and then they had to go across Mexico to the Gulf Coast to the other side, and then sail another month and a half to Spain. So it was really impossible for the king to know what was going on in the Philippines and be in charge all the time. So he decided to appoint the viceroy in Mexico City to be the head of the Philippines through the governor who was actually in the Philippines. It's really, really interesting, fascinating. So there is a lot that links us,
Yes.
um, and even like culturally, so many things. And I think that was also part of the magic of going to the Philippines. Just learning about these things. I love to travel, as you know,
Oh, yeah, I know that.
uh,
You're all
and
over the world.
yeah, it's one of my biggest passions because uh, when you travel, it gives you the opportunity to learn so much, and I'm just a freak of learning, and I have a never-ending curiosity, and so when you travel, you learn history, you learn geography, culture, folklore, you meet beautiful people, and that was part of the experience of going to the Philippines. I discovered a lot of things that blew my mind that I had not expected, like the chocolate hills in
Yes.
Bohol. Um, and now I'm very happy to say that I have friends not only in Manila but also in Cebu and also in
Oh,
Bohol.
yeah, and Cebu and Bohol.
Yeah,
I've seen, I've never seen so many places in Cebu, and it was only the time that you and the rest of the guys, Danny and and Forrest, were here that I've seen Cebu, surprisingly.
yeah,
So
it was amazing,
it was
and
amazing.
another thing that I did when I was in Manila, and this is another story. I think I told you about it when I was there. That during World War II, Mexico fought on the side of the Allies, and Mexico's participation in World War II was very small, limited, and it was more towards the end. Um, Really, what happened was that Mexico has always had kind of this neutral foreign policy. We try to be friends with everybody. But of course, back in the 1940s, when World War II was going on, most countries at some point had to take a side. And Mexico, because we're neighbors to the U.S. and we have such big, things in common with the U.S., Mexico definitely entered on the side of the U.S. and Britain and the Allies. And what the Allies really needed from Mexico was raw materials. This was towards the end of the war, so there was a big shortage of food, of oil, a lot of raw materials, which Mexico provided. But Mexico did send one squadron of fighter planes to the Philippines to fight alongside the Americans. So this squadron was trained in the U.S. The airplanes were made in the U.S. And they were stationed in the Philippines. And some of them did not return. They lost their lives. They were killed in battle, but they helped liberate the Philippines, and they bombarded Japan, and they fought alongside the Americans. And in Manila, there
Hmm.
is a monument, and I can't remember exactly. I know it's like in the center of Manila. Um, can't remember the name. It's like in the old part of Manila, the old town of Manila.
Intramuros.
Intramuros, it's right. So Intramuros is the wall,
Yes.
right?
Fort
And
Santiago.
it's right outside the wall, right next to the wall. And there's a monument with the Mexican flag to commemorate the Mexican participation in World War II, fighting with the Americans and the Filipinos in liberating the Philippines and bombarding Japan. So that I went there.
Wow.
It was very moving because let me tell you, my grandmother's brother, so my great uncle, he was a pilot in that squadron. My great uncle was stationed in the Philippines, and so that's another link between Mexico and the Philippines.
Wow. The things that you said, I didn't even know.
Yeah,
Now, Marco, I know you love to travel. You said you were professional speaker. With these things happening around us and everything's locked down, what are you currently doing?
So, you know, it's going to be a different world from now on. We're going to see some major, major changes in everything. Changes were already happening. And if there's anything that is a certain thing in this world and life, there's two things, as we all know. One is death, and the other one is change. Change, but also one thing that we must consider is the pace of change. There has been times in history where change happened very, very slowly. But as we all know, in the last century, changes started happening really, really fast, especially, since the 1960s, 70s with computers. It's been a different world, but it's going to change even more with
Mm-hmm.
this crisis. Um, the first few months, probably a year, it's going to be really, really difficult in the world. But I think it's also going to be moments of awareness, of consciousness, realization. Um, we are going to see changes, of course, in the economy. We're going to be, and it's really interesting because I am in contact with some of the world's leading futurists, which is this community of scientists who predict the future. And it's not like, taking out a card
Yeah,
or
it's not
looking at a
tarot
crystal
reading.
ball. No,
Yeah.
no, no. These are scientists. Actually, one of the world's leading futurists, Thomas Frey. He's a very good friend of mine. We are colleagues from the National Speakers Association. And Thomas is the most awarded engineer in the history of IBM. He is a super smart guy. He's the founder of the Da Vinci Institute. And his job is to try to predict the future, what in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and so forth. And now these group of scientists, they're doing it with incredible precision because they're being aided by algorithms with computers, social patterns. There's all these tools that help predict the future with tremendous certainty. And one of the things that they've been discussing for a few years now is that the way that humans make a living is going to change dramatically in the next few years. And so they were talking by 2030, but I think that this crisis is just going to accelerate the process. We're going to see a lot of changes in the way that each of us bring food to our tables. And so going back to your question is, yes, I'm a speaker and I used to being on stages around the world and delivering my messages. And now all of that has totally stopped. There's no events, no conferences, no
Mm-hmm.
meetings. And so we are going virtual. And I was already starting to do that, but now it's like we're really getting into it. So, it's interesting, Penny, because while a lot of people unfortunately are going to lose their jobs, they're going to have cutbacks in their salaries. There's going to be a lot of distress.
Mm-hmm.
For others, this crisis is going to be a window of opportunity. I know already, people who own Zoom, which is the system that we're using right now
Yes.
to record this call. I mean, Zoom right now is booming because everybody wants to buy their packages,
Mm-hmm.
to go online. Even if you're not a speaker or if you don't have a program, a course, just to communicate with your friends. I've seen people who are having, coffee together. 10 people, 10 friends are having coffee together with the social, what do you call it, separation, the social
Mm-hmm.
distance. But they're doing it through this system, through Zoom.
Oh, we should do that. We should
Yeah,
get our TTT friends and have a live
right,
Zoom with all the
right.
pictures there. That would be
Exactly.
great.
So I mean, you set a time. Everybody makes their beverage of their choice: coffee, tea, milk, or whatever you want, and you're all sitting in front of your computers and having. It's the closest thing to being, there in
Together.
person.
Yes.
So we're going to see a lot more going into digital. We're going to see a lot more. I think something interesting is going to happen. Right now, we're all isolated in our homes. We can't go out. But when this is over, there's going to be a huge need for actual in-person contact, for hugs, for kisses, for handshakes. Now we got to be patient,
Mm-hmm.
but because even if they tell you, okay, you've been home for a month and it's okay now, yeah, but still the virus is going to be out and about for a few months. They say 3 to 4 months, but but we're social entities, and when this is over, we're going to have an eager, bigger desire and need for in-person contact. And as our mentor and friend Jack Canfield says, when he talks about hugs, and there's research about this, which is
Mm-hmm.
really interesting.
Yep.
We all need, is it 3 hugs? Correct me, please.
Four
Four,
hugs.
4 hugs for survival,
Mm-hmm.
8 hugs
Eight.
for maintenance,
Maintenance. Mm-hmm.
and 12 hugs to thrive.
Yes.
And right now we're not getting any.
Zero.
Zero. And typically on a typical day, we don't even get that many. We maybe get 3, and it's like like the typical slap in the back
Yes.
hug.
A baby hug.
Uh, right. We need some real heart to heart connections,
That's right.
and this need, I think, and being isolated and not being able to see people and everything. I think that is one of the realizations that's going to come out of this. And there's going to be so many things that are going to come out. Um, another thing that, and I'm pretty philosophical, but this virus is going to, it's affecting rich and poor,
Mm-hmm.
Muslims,
Exactly.
Hindus, Catholics, Jewish,
Exactly.
black, yellow, purple, gay, lesbian. It doesn't matter what your religion, your
Economic
political
class.
inclination,
Yes.
your social class, the amount of money that you have. It doesn't matter. We're all humans, and these
Exactly.
things are going to affect us all. So I think I think the planet is upset and the planet is sick. And this is a way of telling us, wake up, you got to do
Mm.
something about it. You are sometimes wasting your lives and your energies fighting and doing all these stupid things. And
Yes.
there's so much more to life. Um,
Exactly.
and so that this is just going to accelerate a lot of the changes. It's going to bring awareness. Hopefully, that's one of my big hopes, that it's going to bring awareness. Because, for instance, one of the reasons, or the reasons why this has become such a big worldwide crisis, is because of our politicians everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, putting their interest first, putting their political parties first, and not thinking about their people, the people that they are supposed to keep safe and that they are supposed to look after. And I'm talking in general terms. I think this is
Yes.
everywhere.
Yes. True. Every country.
And because of those reasons, politicians, the ones who are supposed to be the leaders of the world,
Mm-hmm.
which now we're seeing they're not, they did not make decisions at the right time,
Mm-hmm.
and they did not take action. And that's what I mentioned at the
Take
beginning.
action.
2 points that I wanted to mention, um, that are incredibly important. Making the decisions as soon as possible, even if at the end it turns out that your decision was mistaken or it was not the right one.
Mm-hmm.
uh, Many times it's part of the human condition. We make a decision and we fail, right? Instead of,
Yes. That's right.
the we took the turn to the left, and that took us to a bad place. We should have taken the one to the right. But it's much better to make the wrong decision than to make no decisions. And
Exactly.
that's what's happening right now. There were no decisions made at the right time, and that's why this spread so fast. And then once you make a decision, you need to act on it, because nothing happens if you don't take action. And I think there's going to be a lot of lessons learned A lot of lessons learned.
I remember what Jack mentioned, ACT, action changes things, right?
Yeah,
So we have to act. Hmm.
exactly. And one of my hopes is that after one of the changes that this is going to bring is that people will take action, communities will take action, countries will take action as a people and try to change these crazy political systems that are, you know, governing the world right now. Because, and this is really interesting, this coronavirus is just a warning. It's just a little red light. Because when you think about it, yeah, a lot of people have died and are going to die, unfortunately. But it's a very mild virus. Um, it's killing the elderly. It's killing people who have a weak
Yeah,
physical
immune
condition,
system.
immune system, disease, diabetes.
Hmm.
Um, like I said, my brother in Mexico has it right now. He's in isolation, but he's got like just a cold with fever. It's not that bad. But what if this virus was something lethal that if you got it would kill you within 48 hours or 24 hours? And it spread as fast as coronavirus is spreading, then we would really be in trouble. And it's not science fiction. It's possible because this coronavirus did not exist 3 months ago,
Yeah.
right? And all of a sudden, everybody around the world knows about it. Hundreds of thousands have it. So it could be some weird virus, you know,
It
new
could
virus
mutate. Yeah, it could mutate.
that could, you know, could once you get it, you don't get a cold. Everybody dies in 48 hours. And it's interesting because Bill Gates did a TED talk about it in 2015, only less than
Hmm.
5 years ago. And he talks about it. When you look at the TED talk, just Google it. TED talk, Bill
I've seen
Gates.
it. I've seen it. I watched it.
Scary. It's
Yeah.
scary. And
And-
so my point is that I hope this crisis raises awareness and governments start preparing. And instead of spending billions and trillions in nuclear arms and all of these arms,
oh yes.
they they prepare not to fight another country, but to fight something like a new virus that could kill us all in a week. That's where we really need to put
Hmm.
our interest, you know, in research and
And
preparation for
exactly.
something like that. Because honestly, I don't think the world is going to end by a nuclear war. I think that the countries and the leaders again, that have nuclear arms
Hmm.
are smart enough not to use them because we know that there would not be a good end to a nuclear war. So why keep spending on all this military stuff when the real enemy could be a tiny virus that we can't even see?
Yeah, it's an
Mm.
invisible enemy that we have
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
Yes. So I
So,
know Marco, that there's so much things going on around the world, especially that this virus. Remember before when we were talking about virus, we were talking about virus for our computers.
mm-hmm,
Before when we were talking about Apple, we were thinking of the
mm-hmm,
fruit. Now we're thinking of computers.
mm-hmm.
It brought us back to basic. A virus,
Basics.
yeah, a virus is a virus, not a computer virus, but an unseen virus that could kill lives. We're being brought back to basics. We're
Mm-hmm.
being brought back
Yeah.
to I wouldn't say normal because that wasn't this isn't normal, but back to what is important.
Yes, and it has also brought, I think, and one of the lessons is going to be humility. We've become we're way over our heads. You know, oh, we're so powerful. We can
Yeah.
fly. We can go around the world. We send spacecraft to the space station every week now, planning missions to Mars. We can control electricity. all these things. We've reached a point after thousands of years where we feel we are the kings of the planet, and we control everything. And again, guess what? This microscopic virus can kill us all.
Yeah.
you know, and the virus has no computers, has not,
No
has no
artificial
cell, no,
intelligence.
yeah, right, no iPhone 11 Pro, no,
Yeah, it doesn't have AI.
So I hope also that one of the lessons is that it brings some humility to the world, makes us humble again and value things and treasure things for what they really are. A
So,
lot of
so
things are going to happen. I'm hopeful.
I am hopeful. We are hopeful. Remember, our number one success principle is we have to take responsibility. We
Hmm.
have to think positive and all those. So Marco, given all of this and us being positive, now that you're on, remember, before we started the recording, you were talking about your online summit, which you wanted
Right,
in November, did not happen, and it might happen in 2 or 3 weeks time.
right,
Remember what Steve Jobs said: you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect the dots looking backwards.
right.
There's a reason perhaps why your online summit did push through at that time.
Oh, that's what I believe. Totally, totally. And that's the other thing. And this might sound a little esoteric or woo woo
Mm-hmm.
to some of our viewers
Yeah.
out there, but the universe is perfect. It's perfect as it is. It's perfect right this very moment with coronavirus and everything. The universe is perfect. The universe, our higher energy, God,
Yeah.
however you want to call it, call him, has a plan. Now, that doesn't mean that our lives and our futures are predetermined, but we constantly are trying to fight against the universe. It's human nature. And when things don't go our way, we complain. We don't take responsibility. We complain. We become blamers and
Yes.
complainers. And the fact is that we are fighting against the entire universe because the universe is so perfect. I mean, just think about it, and going back to that point about being humble. We are standing or sitting on this tiny ball made of rocks and water and all these elements, which is spinning at a very precise speed, constant speed, and it's been doing it for millions of years.
Mm-hmm.
If the speed changed by 1 kilometer an hour, it would be the end of the world, or at least the end of life, because we would lose the gravity that we have. Uh, we would all die.
Yeah.
It's so perfect, and it's been happening for thousands of years. And that little planet, Earth, at the same time is spinning around the sun at an amazing speed, and we don't feel it. But right now, you and I, and all of you looking at this, we are traveling around the sun at thousands of miles an hour. We don't feel it. We don't really get any effects, at least that we can perceive. But again, it's happening at a very precise, constant speed. If it was different, who knows what would happen? And at the same time, our solar system is moving through the Milky Way and so forth, you know. So the universe is perfect. There's a lot of things that we cannot understand and science still can't explain, but we should stop fighting against the universe and try to flow more with the universe, even if things are not happening our way, because we will see at the end that there's a reason for it. Like I said, this crisis right now, and I don't want to focus so much on the crisis, even though I've been mentioning it a lot. But my my point about mentioning the crisis is because I think it's going to be a motor of change, and I hope it is. We need some major changes in the world for good, and this could just be the accelerator. Uh, so again, universe is perfect. Let's flow with it. It's like when, if let's say you are going down a river with rapids, rapids and you fall out of the boat, most people by instinct try to swim against the current. That's the worst that you can do because that will make you tired and eventually you'll drown. But the way to get out of the river is to swim with the current in a diagonal way towards the nearest shore. The current will actually push you towards shore instead of fighting it.
Oh, I didn't know that as well. That's
Yeah,
basic. Yeah.
it's basic. It's logical, right? It's common sense. But most people, by our instinct, our human,
Instinct.
say,
Yes.
I gotta fight. I gotta swim against it. What? No, go with the current. Let the current push you out. You just have to swim a little bit towards the shore,
Sure. Yeah.
but the current itself will take you there.
You Thank you, Marco. I've learned a lot from you today. In fact, uh, humility, being able to look at it in the big context of the change that we're into. You and I are both speakers. You and I are both quote unquote out of our speaking gigs now because there are no gigs.
Mm-hmm.
But there are so many things that you gave advice on, like humility, looking back at the universe, which is really perfect. Perfect timing. You didn't do your online thing last time. You're going to do it now, and you're going to help a lot of people now with this, and
Mm-hmm.
more people at home. Um, and I think Zoom is crashing already because of so many people going on
Yeah,
Zoom and
yeah.
Teams in Microsoft and Skype,
Mm-hmm.
and WhatsApp is burning, Viber is burning, Facebook Messenger, and all those. No,
Yeah.
now that we're all interconnected, we're one human race having the same problem, having the same situation. 170 plus countries out of 190 plus
Mm-hmm.
countries, and it's still spreading. What what other advice can you give to our viewers, Filipinos, Mexican, Americans, anyone who watches this, anyone who can see this from your end and my end? What other advice can you give? What can we do now that we have so much time in our hands that we could be prepared for the new tomorrow, the new normal, because it can't
Mm-hmm.
go back to the way
No.
we've done things before?
So if you're watching this, it means that you have either a smartphone or you have a computer or a tablet and you have an internet connection. And so you can go online and learn whatever you want. There are so many things that are available. Just Google it, or actually, even if you want some tools or recommendations, maybe your friends, the people watching this, can send you an email, and you and I can discuss, like what to suggest. Read, read a lot. Read positive things. There are so many, audiobooks, regular books. Uh, Use this time to learn, to educate yourself. I see a lot of people from around the world. I mean, I think we've all seen it. There's been so many funny things that people are doing, um, shooting videos, playing
Yeah.
certain games.
TikTok is famous in the
TikTok,
Philippines.
TikTok, TikTok is also going crazy. TikTok, I've seen some really funny ones, and that's good because you know what? We need to keep our sense of humor. That's
Yes.
very, very important. We need to
Mhm.
laugh a lot and smile a lot. If you're going to be home and watching movies, don't watch, a dramatic movie, a horror movie. We already have enough of that in real life. And that brings me to another point. Keep watching newscasts to the minimum, and even post on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, about the crisis. Keep it to a minimum. Do not watch the news first thing in the morning, because if you do, that will set your mood for the rest of the day. And do not watch news at night either, because then that's what you're going to go to bed with.
Yes.
And that's why people are not sleeping and are anxious at night, and people are having insomnia and getting up at 2 and 3 and 4 in the morning. Before you go to bed, read something beautiful, nice, meditate, watch a funny movie, laugh a lot. It just changes your mindset. It changes your energy. And if you want to watch news, just to be updated on what's going on, watch. Be very selective. Watch very little, and watch them midday. So again, it won't set your mood in the morning, and it's not the way you're going to go to bed at night. And use this time to learn,
Mm-hmm.
to discover things. There's some amazing documentaries nowadays on Amazon Prime, on Netflix. A couple of their documentaries that I've been recommending lately is on Netflix, Inside Bill's Brain.
Oh,
Inside Bill's Brain is a series of 4 or 5 documentaries about the life and achievements of Bill Gates
okay.
and how he thinks.
Inside. Okay.
Amazing. And actually, one of them talks about, it's a very current issue because it talks about the incredible effort that Bill made in trying to eradicate polio from the face of the earth. And this was very, very recently. And um, watch it. I mean, I won't tell you the story because
Okay.
it's so current to what's going on right now. Bill Gates actually tried to eradicate polio from the face of the earth. It only still existed in a few countries in Africa, and
Yes.
he was really, really, really close to achieving it. But politics got in the way, and the inaction of the leaders of those countries. And he was really, really close. And he had spent already millions of dollars. And
Mm-hmm.
anyway, watch it.
And I
Inside
Bill's mind.
Bill's Brain. Inside
Bill's
Bill's Brain.
brain. Inside
Right.
Bill's
All
brain
five
on Netflix.
documentaries. Right. They're really, really good. Another one that I recommend right now is The Game Changers, also on Netflix. And the reason why I recommend it so much right now is because The Game Changers is about lifestyle, well-being, and nutrition. And it's about all these big athletes and big achievers that changed their diets to a plant-based diet,
Mm-hmm.
and they became even more proficient. They performed better, won more medals, trophies, competitions. And I'm not trying to sell anything to anyone out there. So, because this is about becoming vegan, I'm not vegan, but I think just part of the information, it's really, really interesting, especially, and I bring it up now because we really need to boost our immune systems.
Exactly. Yes.
And the way to do it, and this is, I mean, there's so much research about it. Cut sugars, like right now, totally don't drink soft drinks, no cakes, cookies, sugary drinks,
Mm-hmm.
juices. Eat as many fresh fruits and vegetables as possible, especially leafy greens. And that's going to give a big boost to your immune system. Don't eat meat right now, seriously. If you
Mm-hmm.
want to go back to meat, if you love meat, that's fine with me. But right now, try not to eat meat. There's, I
Okay.
mean, there's science about it, how it really depletes your immune system.
Oh.
Right now, we need to be very, very strong. No meat. If you can avoid also, poultry, chicken, fish is a little better, and you have tons of it in the Philippines. Uh, but vegetables, leafy greens, lots of them. No sugars, no pastas, pizzas,
Mm-hmm.
anything. No flours that the body turns into sugars. Viruses, bacteria, germs, even cancer feeds off of sugar.
Oh yeah.
If you cut the sugar,
Mm-hmm.
kill them. You don't. You literally starve them to death. They don't have food.
Mm-hmm.
So right now we need to keep our bodies, our systems very, very alkaline. And the way to do it is by cutting sugars, everything that the body turns to sugars, and a lot of fresh vegetables, especially fruits is also okay, and that will boost your immune system.
Okay. And exercise.
The game changers. Oh,
And
of course, exercise.
exercise.
Of course. The game changers on Netflix. That's another one that I recommend. So right now that we're all home, learn something new. Because also going back to what I was talking about earlier about the what the futurists are
Mm-hmm.
predicting. and how they say that, well, they were saying that by 2030, the way that we earn our livings is going to dramatically change, which actually might be happening now. Is they talk about occupations. They don't talk about jobs anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about most people around the world working on their own from home, maybe teaming up with two, three, four friends or colleagues to sell a product or a service. But they're talking about occupations and not professions. They're talking about a lot of the companies disappearing. Even, they say that by 2030, half of the Fortune 500 companies are going to disappear.
Wow.
And people say, come on, are you kidding me? Well, look at what's going on right now. All
Exactly.
the airlines in the world,
Mm-hmm.
I would say probably 90% of the airlines in the world would disappear this very week because of what's going on. So you're talking about big companies with a lot of assets. You thought, you would think that they have a ton of money in the bank. They are so big and powerful, they could disappear like that. And just
Exactly.
like that, there's a lot of companies that, for many reasons, whether it's a war, a virus, bad management, that even for Fortune 500 companies that have been around for 100 years could disappear overnight. So they're
Exactly.
talking about occupations.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to provide for our own living and sustain. So right now, it's a great time to learn something, learn a skill. And I told you when we communicated by chat uh, last night
Yes.
that even before this crisis started, I was taking a positive psychology specialty from the University of Pennsylvania, the Center of Positive
Mm-hmm.
Psychology, which is the leading institution in positive psychology in the world. Actually, that's where positive psychology started. It was founded by Dr. Martin Seligman, and he's still there. He's the director of the center. And so I took this online course, and I got my certificate this past Saturday.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, yeah, really, really cool. University of Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
very prestigious university. And it's not a master's degree. It's not a PhD. It didn't take me, 2 years to complete, or I did not spend $60,000 on this was a month. It took me a little shorter. It's usually meant to take about a month and a half to complete. I was doing more lessons every night and every morning, so I finished it faster. But anybody can do what. My question to you out there watching is, what would you like to learn? Is it something just for fun and curiosity, something that you've wanted to do since you were a kid, maybe, or something that's trending right now? Maybe learn about wines and
Oh, yeah.
whiskeys, or things like that, or how to cook, how to tell jokes.
Mm-hmm.
There is everything that you can think of. There's a course for online, and there's free courses. There's some very inexpensive courses. There are some expensive courses which have tremendous knowledge and so forth. But use this time to learn, not just to watch movies for fun.
Yes.
uh, Time is super precious, and I think that's one of the lessons right now that we're home and we
Yes,
cannot
exactly.
go out running in the forest or go to the beach. How valuable each day is.
And really
So,
learning a lot. Learning never stops, right?
right. So when this is over, don't look back and say, "Wow, those were 3-4 weeks wasted in my life." No, I used them to learn this. I got the certificate, or I started learning a new language online. Like I said, I learned about wines, or whatever you want. It's all out there. Some of the, I guess, cool sites that I would recommend for learning, super professional, well done. Because also you got to be careful. There's a lot of bad stuff out there, very unprofessional. You just be a little vigilant about that. But Mind Valley,
Yes.
mindvalley.com, fantastic. And
I
actually,
love
Mind
it.
Valley features many of the teachers that were featured in the Secret,
Exactly.
that
Yes.
very famous video documentary from 2006, which features our
Our
friend and
mentor.
mentor Jack Canfield.
Hmm.
But many of the other teachers from the Secret are featured in Mind Valley 10 years later, or 14 years later. So it's very interesting to see how they're doing now and what they're teaching now and how they have also evolved.
Hmm.
So Mind Valley is fantastic. And also, oh, and Mind Valley, they have a great, one of their speakers is Ken Honda.
Hmm.
I don't know if you heard of Ken from Japan. He is the money master. And I know that right now, a lot of people are going to go through really hard economic times. Watch Ken Honda on
Okay.
Mind Valley. Fascinating.
I
We got
will.
to fall in love with money to attract money.
I
Uh,
will.
and
Mm.
and the other one, so Mind Valley, and oh, there's Masterclass. I think it's
Masterclass. Yes.
masterclass.com.
Yes. Yes.
And they have all these celebrities that you would not even imagine that they would be open to teach you their all their knowledge, their wisdom, and their tricks
Hmm.
online. So, for instance, one that I love to make people laugh. I think that's one of my life missions. And so, about a year ago, I took the master class with Steve. Ah,
Steve Harvey.
no, no, no. Very famous comedian, super famous. Steve Martin.
Steve Martin. Mm.
Steve Martin. And so, I mean, this is a course that lasts. It's not just 1 hour. It's quite a few lessons. Maybe if you watch an hour every night, it takes you like a month to complete it. And it's Steve Martin teaching you how to do comedy.
Oh,
And even
wow.
and even if you don't want to be an actor or a stand-up comedian, just to be a little bit funnier, humoristic is the word. Not
Hmm.
because a comedian is Steve Martin. He's the actor. He's the one, or people who stand in front of instead of a microphone and do stand-up comedy. No, but we can all be humoristic and in
Yes.
our
Humoristic.
conversations and
Hmm.
introduce certain elements to make people laugh. And because also when people laugh, your message gets across in a more effective way. People remember it more. So masterclass, and there's master classes for Italian cooking with some very famous Italian chef, and I mean all these different master classes. So masterclass in Mind Valley, uh, I recommend. Really,
Okay.
really great sites. But there's so many, so many.
Yeah. I attended Mind Valley. Lisa Nichols. Of
Lisa Nichols, yeah, mm-hmm.
yes. Speak
Yeah,
to inspire.
yeah,
Speak to inspire. And I think
yeah,
after this, after when this is all over, what we've learned in the success principles with our mentor Jack Canfield, we need to go back to basics. There's much more need for the success principles now because people will say, "What will I do?
yeah,
What's next for me?"
yeah.
And
And there is a next.
there
There
is
is
an
a next for everybody.
mm,
So keep that in mind. Right now, we cannot change what's going on. Stay safe. Uh, be very conscious of what you're eating. Eat super healthy. Drop the sugars. Take care of yourself. Be careful what you touch, and especially don't leave your home if you don't really have to. But there is a next. There will be a next,
there
and
will be. There
we
is a next.
there is. We have to prepare for it
Mhm.
because it's going to be a different world. We have to be prepared. If you're afraid of losing your job, your income, now's the time to prepare. What are you going to do next? What can you provide? How can you, uh, use your talents, your God-given talents, to be of service to others?
And
And as you serve others, the money will flow automatically to
back
you.
to you. Yes.
Don't think of what can I sell, or can I bake cakes to sell, or how can I serve others. This is a time to also It's very interesting, Penny. The reason why I think we are obliged to be indoors right now, is because not only do we have to be inside our homes, we have to be inside ourselves.
Yes,
We have to
ourselves.
look deep inside ourselves. And that's why we have all this time to do it. Because a lot of people say, oh, I would love to meditate, but I don't have the time. Or I would love to, write my book, but I don't have the time. And or I would like to pray more, but I don't have the time. Well, guess what? Right now, you have the time.
There's so much time. We have so
Okay.
much
Right
time.
now, you have the time. So meditate. Again, if you don't know how to meditate, there's uh, online classes. Deepak Chopra has wonderful meditation lessons.
Mhm.
Actually, he has like the 21-day meditation challenge starting every so often. And when you meditate, before you start meditating, ask yourself the question: how can I help? How can I serve? What's next for me?
Exactly.
And many times the answers will come through meditation. Because, and this I learned actually from Deepak Chopra when I attended one of his workshops some years ago. He said, praying is talking to God. And when you think about it, it's true. I mean, when you praise, oh God, this and that, I need this, please help me with this, I'm grateful to you for this, forgive me for this. When you meditate, you are actually listening to God.
Oh, that's so
So,
nice.
so ask those questions before meditate. Combine meditation and prayer.
Hmm.
But I, a lot of the aha moments I've had in my life have come after meditation or during meditation. So I think again, ask those questions. Ask any question that you would like an answer for. How can I help? How can I serve? Um, how what's in the future for me? What's and the answers come. That's how creativity comes about. Ask questions.
I remember just sharing with you, Marco. I remember how did this our first recording came about through meditation. How can I serve others? What can I do with my time to be able to serve others now that I can't go out and like,
Yeah,
ding, talk to people around the world, talk to your
right.
TTT friends. And of course, Marco's name came out first in the list. Marco
And I'm
Flores and Danny.
very, very grateful. And that's another thing. Right now, there's, I mean, if you're watching this and you are with a family with kids, not everyone is as fortunate. There's a lot of people, just earlier today, I was chatting with a friend and we're going to talk tomorrow. She is single, she's by herself. And this is being really tough, you know, I mean, it's already being hard on everybody, just being locked in indefinitely. And just there's a lot of people who are totally by themselves. Even if they had the virus, if they caught it before they were locked in their homes, if they eventually develop the symptoms, they're going to be there by themselves.
Mm.
So think of those people who might be by themselves right now, and reach out to them.
That's
Connection is key right now.
that is very, very, very important. And thank you for giving that advice. I know some people here in Metro Manila who are living by themselves because traffic in Manila is so horrible. So they're
Oh,
locked down in their
mm,
condominiums, and I wonder how they are. So thank you for the advice of reaching out. Many people, please reach out to your friends who are living in condos and were not able to go home to their provinces,
mhm.
or not even provinces, but with their homes in Metro Manila as well. Because of the lockdown, they weren't able to go home. Reach out to them.
Yeah, check on them. It's one of those things where we say, oh, I haven't spoken to Susan in so long
Oh,
because I don't
yeah.
have the time. Again, you right now you have the time.
I'm just sharing with you. I was speaking to my sister this morning, and I said, I haven't talked to you for a long time. She said, yes. And you know where my sister lives? Next door. And how did we talk? Through Facebook Messenger. Oh,
Yeah,
my bad.
yeah,
I said my
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
So
But
nice to
it's
meet you.
happening to everybody. It's the way the world is nowadays. But
Mhm.
hopefully, one of the big lessons is that we need to connect in a good way and not because it's an emergency.
Okay, I know our listeners are what the people who are watching this will learn a lot from you, Marco. This is the first of many, and from my for and my friends around the world. Uh, and thank you so much for for allowing me to speak to you. I know it's 11 p.m. your time, right?
No, it's actually
Ah,
nine. Oh,
9
yeah.
9 p.m. I can't keep track of time. I know one of our friends, Julie Dawes, also TTT, sent me a calendar at 2 a.m. and she just said the text messenger 2 a.m. your time. I think doesn't work. So it's funny the time zones that we are
Yeah.
in, but we're living in the same world,
We're
living in the
sharing. We're sharing the
sharing
same world.
sharing the same world, and we have to honor this world and give it justice, because at the
Hmm.
end of it we are all just one.
Hmm. Exactly.
So thank you, Marco.
My
Thank you, my
pleasure.
dear friend. Thank you for saying yes to this.
My pleasure. How could I not?
And as I mentioned to you, I am just at home seeing my surroundings. I'm not worried about it's not done professionally. It's a conversation I'm having with a friend. An
That's right.
interview is a conversation,
That's
and
absolutely right.
a conversation that has permission to be shared with others.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I hope that this will bring a little peace and clarity to all the people viewing this. And I mean, I think I'm excited. I'm excited for what's next, what's coming up. There's going to be
Yeah,
changes. Change is good. Let's embrace
change is
it.
good.
Let's embrace.
Yes.
The faster we embrace change, the better. Ride, ride the wave at the top of the wave. Don't fight it.
Okay, don't fight it. Be ready for change.
Yeah,
Okay. So thank you again, Marco. Gracias, mi
my pleasure.
amigo.
Gracias a ti, Penny. Muchas
Muchas
gracias.
gracias. De nada.
Stay
Saying it in
and
Spanish.
and perfect health to all of you.
And you keep safe too. And I'll talk to you sometime soon.
Yeah,
And we'll have
absolutely.
a many people in one Zoom call one time.
Oh, please, we'll have a Zoom coffee.
Zoom coffee. That's a nice idea.
Mhm.
Okay, thanks, Marco, and have a good evening.
You too. Take
Okay,
care.
take care. Bye.
Bye.
God bless. Bye.